What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome to the For The Fans Christmas special. In today's show, we have a festive football feature, we have some festive football talk, we have a lot of Villa bashing, and we also make some predictions for the 2016 footballing calendar year. Let's get right into the show.
Ding 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 a ding 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 a ding ding. Welcome, it's the For The Fans Christmas special with me, Dr. Benji FM. For those listening now, it's alright, you're not late, you haven't missed it. It literally is the 5th of January as we record this. As ever, I'm joined by Jack and Keno. Jack, hello.
Hello.
Keno, hello.
Happy New Year, everyone.
We've got the Villa fan, we've got the Liverpool fan, and myself. Today we'll be discussing the Premier League from the last couple of weeks, because obviously we've been away. We've had an extended break over Christmas due to the fact that I think what would you put it down to? I mean, if we could all sum it up with a word, I would say laziness.
Alcohol.
Family.
Okay. Well, I think mine was the most accurate. So
You've not seen my Twitter feed.
Today's feature is a twist. It's not your regular feature. It's Christmas themed because it's Christmas time. I wrote this down a week ago. So what we'll do, this is what we've done. There's three wise men, two wise men and a wise football club, and I want us to come up with gifts.
Who might that football club be, Ben?
We'll find out soon. I want us to get gifts for said football clubs, so we can share the joy with one another. Those three contenders are Louis van Gaal, Jose Mourinho and Aston Villa. Now on our Twitter feed, as our pinned tweet, you the listeners will vote for the best answers of our Christmas presents. Now what we'll do is we'll start with Louis van Gaal, and Jack, will come to you. What would you get Louis van Gaal for Christmas?
Okay. So what I'm thinking is, he's probably got a job now till the summer because he's not been sacked yet. So I'm going to get him a Christmas brochure for the 2016 Christmas. So he'll be able to do all his shopping there.
Is that really your answer?
Well, when you were a little kid, like in primary school, did your school ever give you like one of those Christmas brochures to take home to your parents, but they like gave you them in June?
No.
Possibly.
Was that just my school?
Possibly. No, I think... yeah, but I'm not sure.
Because that's what I'm getting him. I don't know where those brochures come from or where they go or who buys from them.
I don't know about these brochures. What are these brochures?
Maybe that's the mystery that Louis van Gaal can unravel.
It's like an Argos brochure, but more expensive and more tat.
Well, it's to hand these out to school children. Those children make on a weekly wage.
Yes.
I don't understand.
And you gave it to your parents to try and convince them. So that's one thing I'm thinking for Lady, dresses up a little kid, goes into the training ground with his brochure.
No one's going to work that out. Fellaini turns up his school uniform.
They'll just see the shape of his head and realise it's Louis van Gaal.
Maran, why are you wearing school trousers? Oh, just ask Louis. Okay, well, all right, fair enough. You've gone for the Christmas 2016 brochure. Right.
Preparing.
Keno, please have something.
Well,
good. The
thing is, mine is equally silly. I thought about these quite like my Louis van Gaal one's my silly one.
Okay.
I've got some good ones for For
all right. Well,
thanks.
Thank you for the preview.
I would get Louis van Gaal an IO Hawk, or otherwise known as a hoverboard, which are all the rage right now.
A Swegway.
Yeah, a Swegway.
Yeah.
And no particular reason other than just imagine Louis van Gaal opening his stocking. I presume he still has a stocking at Christmas.
It would be a huge stocking as well.
It would be, and befitting of the man himself.
And it would have his face on it.
On the wheels.
Opening his stocking.
Got little Van Gaal faces.
Picture Louis van Gaal opening his Christmas presents and finding this hoverboard. I'm not sure what he'd say when he sees it, but you can kind of imagine that. It'd be something funny. Something like Queen's Park raisins. And then he'd open it, and what would almost be as good as the picture of Louis van Gaal riding on this hoverboard would be him trying to work out how it works, and also learning how to ride it, because I presume
that would be a video I would watch.
He would be, yeah.
Louis van Gaal learns to Swegway with LVG.
To be fair, Man City do have a great YouTube channel, and United need to play catch up, and I think this is their way in.
That's true, actually. City do have a really good channel.
It would be like a dictatorship, though. He would go around the training ground. He'd become really good at it to the point where he would want other people to try it out, and he would see Daley Blind and go, Daley, come over, Daley, try this, and then Daley Blind would just be falling over in the cafeteria at Manchester United.
It's almost double barrel, because the video of him learning how to ride it would be brilliant, but then also the after effect of Louis van Gaal on us.
I've got an image of the United players all on these Swegways on the pitch.
More
running involved.
I'm going to give a very obscure reference. Ricky Gervais did a sort of comic relief thing once,
I don't.
Where he was on a Swegway with Stephen Merchant to see like The Office the musical. That's how I picture Louis van Gaal. If you understand that reference, that's very funny to you. If you don't understand that reference, like Callum Keane,
can I just say, Keno, did you mention Queen's Park raisins?
I did, yeah.
Because did you hear about what Eden Hazard referred to Shrewsbury Town as the other week?
Oh, go on.
Strawberry Town.
Strawberry Town. I love that.
I mean, it's not even close, is it?
Strawberry Town.
I like to think that one of the English guys at Chelsea, John Terry's convinced all the non-English players that Shrewsbury Town are Strawberry Town.
I think 6 minutes in, we've found our level for today's show. I can see where this is going to go today. I've got him a copy of the first edition of FIFA Street. I think if there's one thing missing from Manchester United's play right now, it's flair, creativity. I think
not
Louis
a game
van Gaal,
breaker.
I like that.
I think if Louis van Gaal gets his copy of FIFA Street, because at the moment Louis van Gaal doesn't enjoy football, right? He sees it like a factory job. But I think we can all agree that FIFA Street was the most fun any of us have had, because there was no rules, slide tackles, skills. The slide tackle engine on the FIFA Street, you must remember it, right?
I once streamed FIFA Street 1 for some reason.
Right, well, the slide tackle animation was impeccable. The fact that the skills were top-notch. I think there's not enough Manchester United players currently possessing that skill. I think he could. So I think Louis van Gaal would go home, get his PlayStation 1 out, PlayStation 2, learn the skills, and then, much like the Swegway, really, go to the Manchester United training ground and display the skills he's learned. I would love to see him try the rainbow flick.
I mean, training Rooney how to do game breakers. He's like telling Mata to do a few roulettes to charge it up, ready for the free goal.
Yeah, you just see Rooney like acting in slow motion away on in the far corner of the touchline of the pitch. Even I would like that.
What a beautiful image.
FIFA Street I'm going with. So there are our first options. So just to go over it again, Jack?
A Christmas brochure for next year.
Sounds quite rubbish now we've gone back to it.
Keno?
Louis van Gaal riding on a Swegway.
And I'm going for the 2005 edition of FIFA Street?
It's probably around then, yeah.
Around that, yeah. Right, we're going to move on. I'm going to say Villa Tour last.
Yeah, that's fine.
Jose Mourinho. Jack, we'll start again with you.
Excellent. Well, I thought long and hard about this one, and now I've scrapped my idea because I've changed my mind.
Okay.
I'm going to get him a football shirt signed by all the Chelsea players, and it's going to be a Strawberry Town kit.
Oh.
That's great.
Well, Eddie would have bought the shirt, I would assume.
Would you make some modifications to make it look more strawberry? With,
you'd have to, maybe, wouldn't you?
What would it say on the back?
You were very unlucky in our job, boss, or something.
No, I mean the name on the back.
Oh.
not the message of support.
Oh, I think, have a little embroidered thing, like in cup finals, so you'll have the
shirts cost loads of money to get fucking letters on, Jack.
Not a Strawberry Town one. You can pick one up for 25 quid.
You see, I always hated this, because my dad's called Terry, so you could get a John Terry England shirt for cheaper, and if I wanted my name on the back, I had to pay, extra, because it was obviously, unique.
Yes.
Not fair. Sorry.
Oh.
I can never get a name on the back of my football kits as a kid.
Well, being one letter out from various well-known Irish footballers, I was sort of all right, really.
Oh, yeah. Well, people would just see it and think you've made a spelling mistake, I would assume. So Stephen Carr wasn't enough as a pull for me, so I never did that. My links to Northern Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, apologies, Ireland, Republic of Ireland weren't strong enough for me to get a Stephen Carr Spurs shirt or Republic of Ireland shirt, or Birmingham. They remember that time. So Jack, a strawberry.
I'm trying to think of a name. I'm thinking Torres on the back.
Torres on the back, or Shevchenko. He was a fan of that. Callum Keane, Jose Mourinho.
Now, towards the end of Jose's reign, I started to get a little bit worried about him because in some of his rants to interviews and stuff, it just looked like he was losing the plot. So I would get Jose a sort of, I guess it's not an individual item, but I'd buy him a couple of years' worth of sort of therapy sessions where it could be group, group therapy,
Yeah, I
where
like
we
that.
sort of go around in a circle, talk about our problems.
Him, Sherwood, Gary Monk.
Yeah,
I'm seeing
actually,
it.
that's good. I'm going to slightly modify it and say it's
Okay.
going to be a group therapy session with all managers who have, recently lost their jobs. We could throw in Rafa into that now, obviously.
I've got this in my head.
Brendan Rodgers would be leading the group.
Yeah. Yeah, and Jose, I'd buy him a year's subscription to those sessions where he could get everything off his chest about Rome and about Eva, about everything that went on, and he could sort of say what he likes about other managers, and they could say, what his qualities were.
I've just got this image in my head of this entire meeting. Like the little, I don't know what they're called, like the flexi fishy getting crackers that tell you what mood you're in.
Oh,
yeah.
yes, we had one of those.
I can imagine
yeah.
them passing one of them around the group. How are you feeling, Jose? We're always feeling resentful.
Presumably, Jack, in a year they're going to employ a variety of methods to try and exorcise the demons from their respective managerial jobs. So, yes, that's definitely an option, and that's what I'd give Jose.
He sat there in his Strawberry Town kit.
Yeah.
Van Gaal's got his
Lucky
brochure
him.
with him. Well,
Van Gaal, no, Van Gaal will turn
Van Gaal's
up.
not gone yet, though. It's for Sax managers.
What you've
He'll
got to
roll
realise
in.
is Van Gaal will turn up on the Swagway, riding into the group therapy. Brendan will go, "Oh, Louis, let's come in," and then that'll be that, and it'll all be calm. And then Louis will smash it over someone's head. That'll be the end of the group therapy sessions, and Brendan will get a new job. Right, so I've gone with, there seems to be the end product. I think if it's not the Swagway this Christmas, people, like my dad is an example of this, everyone wants a drone. Like one of those camera drones.
I considered that. Yeah.
Right? So Jose Mourinho is getting a drone. It seems, as I say, seems to be the gift of the year.
I wonder what a man like
Is that
Jose
for when he
Mourinho
gets
will
stadium
get
bound?
up to with a drone.
Mate, I've had a few thoughts. I think he'll be sat at home. It'll be such a good drone. It'll be like the Amazon delivery drones, right? It'll be sat at home, quite close to the Chelsea training ground, so he can kind of just float it in, send little messages, and then I think you've got there's some quite thick individuals in that Chelsea team. I'm talking to Gary Cahill, who I actually don't dislike, but I do think is a little bit simple. So if Jose Mourinho got his drone, put it behind Gary Cahill and went, hi, Gary. Is everything okay? Gary Cahill will be looking around, going, "Oh, someone's talking to me." Make sure you put in a good performance at the weekend. Put the pressure on, and then he'll be checking in on Hiddink, making sure Hiddink's doing a good job. How you doing, Gus? Only me.
See, I think
Jose.
this drone would be a much better gift if he could use it on his stadium bands and he attached like a megaphone to it.
And then you just see it
wherever he ends up
floating
next in
on
his
the
stadium band,
touchline.
you see this drone flying above all the players on the pitch, screaming instructions at them.
But you've got to realise, if Mourinho's in London, he can send this drone to other football clubs.
Yes.
Cause the mischief. I can see him and the drone and Arsene Wenger getting in an argument.
I can also, he goes over to the Arsenal training ground and sort of says to Arsene, "Oh, Gus has been saying horrible things about you, Arsene. You wouldn't want to know. You wouldn't want to know what they've been talking about, Arsene."
Or he'd use it in a comedic way. He'd put it just above Arsene Wenger so he can't quite reach it, and there'd be shots in the Daily Mail of Arsene Wenger trying to punch a drone out of the sky. No one would know why, but it was Jose Mourinho's little drone. I can see it.
See,
I'm
at the
picturing it.
moment, I've got this image of Mourinho hanging from a drone and Van Gaal on his Segway having like a weird Robot Wars-esque standoff.
Oh, maybe Mourinho's got such a big drone he can pick up Eden Hazard and question why he underperformed, and then Eden Hazard's been lifted
Are you condoning
10 foot off the
kidnap
ground.
here via drone?
No,
because that's what it sounds like.
It'll be in the Chelsea training ground, Jack. It'll be fine. He can still drive home afterwards. Right. So just to go through it again, Jack. What's yours?
And
No, just
a
Mourinho
Strawberry
this
Town
time.
kit.
Right, Strawberry
We'll
Town.
go with the full kit, the socks too.
Lovely.
Yeah, the socks too.
Good. Trainers or boots?
They're going to be trainers, but they're going to be stuffed with strawberries at the bottom. So when he sticks his feet in, he thinks, "Oh, this is a
Awful.
lovely kit I've been given for Strawberry Town."
It's not
Callum?
very nice. The manager group therapy sessions.
Good.
A
And I'm
1 year subscription.
And I'm going with a drone. 'Cause I think, so there we are. Right then, finally, Aston Villa. What would we get Aston Villa for Christmas? Jack Peachman.
Well, at the moment, I'm listening to your suggestions, Ben. It sounds like all the stuff you wanted but didn't get this Christmas. I'm anticipating yours.
Oh yeah, FIFA Street was on top of my priority list. Anyway, come on.
I bet it was.
What would you get Aston Villa?
I mean, this is a serious question. I mean, a Belgium striker might be nice.
An early dig.
Is that
What about a
early dig?
reptile? What about a reptile? Maybe a pet reptile.
I mean, it's not a bad shout.
Yes, that's a yeah.
A snake, perhaps. Or
That
two?
is a superb suggestion. In all seriousness, what are you getting Villa?
I I've not thought about this.
Oh,
I know
for
what I'm
goodness
getting.
sake.
Tickets for the Championship playoff final next year.
Oh,
For all the players.
Oh, that is.
that's
Do you know
a
what?
low blow.
It's a low blow, but I think as listeners, we've enjoyed that. Tickets to the Championship. Will they be in it though?
And probably not. That's why I've got them tickets. They won't have gone
dear.
up either.
Oh no!
It's to soften the blow of a second relegation in a
I think
row.
that was both barrels. Will allow the other party to come back. Callum Keane, as the Villa fan, what would you get? The Villa fan, what would you get? Aston Villa for
A
Christmas.
snake and a Belgium striker is quite good. Possibly a time machine.
Oh,
Is
so
this
I
even go
could-
back to Paul Lambert days?
No, I would go back to the evening of like the 20th of August 2010 when, sort of Back to the Future style, when Martin O'Neill, or not me, anyone from the club really, possibly Randy Lerner himself, could go back to the evening that Martin O'Neill set in motion the 5-year chain of events that has resulted in us being relegated, in my view.
I mean, I'm
It's
thinking
a
about
little
how all the different. I'm thinking about how all the different Villa fans would Villa players would use the time machine. I'm thinking Bonwell Hall would go back to when he was in contention
right.
for England.
Can I add to this because an issue has arisen?
Go on
Okay.
then.
My gift for Aston Villa is a time machine.
Is it really?
The season of uncertainty. Big names such as Gavin McCann, Aaron Hughes and J. Lloyd Samuel were released and Liam Ridgewell had moved to rivals Birmingham. It's the 2007-2008 season. John Carew is the top goal scorer with 11 goals. Marlon Harewood is the number 9. Nigel Reo-Coker has been signed for a record fee. Martin O'Neill has guided Aston Villa to 6th, with wins against Chelsea at home and the 5-1 thrashing of Ridgewell's Birmingham being standout moments of the season. My suggestion, ladies and gentlemen, is a time machine. If Callum's having
did
that,
that team
I'll use the
get
remote
6th?
control from Click. It doesn't quite work, but I'm trying to come up with a
Alternatively,
solution.
one for the here and now, Charlie Austin.
I think that's a better option than the time machine.
I mean,
I've got to be honest.
that's a bit of out of our price range. So
But I feel like
I'm getting for you for next Christmas for the next relegation
So
battle.
we'll have, I'll buy Charlie Austin for Christmas, please.
Is that because I'd clearly thought about my time machine answer?
Well, possibly.
I like the idea
but-
of Remy Gard. He goes downstairs at Christmas and there's this big box and he opens it and Charlie Austin just jumps out.
Do you remember?
Seriously though, if we're trying to sort of diagnose where the whole thing's gone wrong, that's the moment I would say that has really screwed us over the years. That started the sort of 5 years of mismanagement as
It's taken us 17 minutes, but we are actually getting to some football analysis now.
Yeah,
no, we're essentially now at this point we're analysing Aston Villa.
Yeah, we can. We'll do that at the end of the season when we're relegated. But
Oh
yeah.
dear! Oh
So-
no, everyone! Oh no! Self-deprecation is not a happy trait. Right then, I think that brings us to the end of the feature. As I say, to vote on the best answers, Jack, what were your 3 answers?
The brochure for Christmas,
Yeah,
the Strawberry Town kit,
yeah,
and the Championship playoff final ticket.
marvellous. Callum Keane,
a Swegway with
Swegway
Louis
for
Van
Lou-
Gaal
for
on
Louis
it.
Van Gaal. Yep.
A 1-year subscription to group therapy sessions for sacked managers,
I do quite
hosted
like that.
by Brendan Rodgers,
Good.
With curly fish.
and a time machine, maybe with Charlie Austin coming out of it. It's probably
Okay.
too late for Charlie Austin. But
I will use the telephone box. I'll have the TARDIS instead, because while our answers are the same, I'm trying to make them
Yeah,
different. So
fine.
I'll go with the TARDIS. As I'm a doctor, makes sense, I guess. Really,
I've got
So-
a really big dig on Villa here. They're a bit like the reverse of a TARDIS in terms of they're big on the outside, but really they're a small club on the inside.
Oh, we'll touch on the losers
Sorry,
of the winter
that
break
slipped
soon,
out.
Jack. So bear with. We'll kick things off then. We're going to do sort of a mid-season review, the winners and losers over the festive period that we've missed. I think we've got 4 clubs we're going to highlight as the winners. We've got 4 or 5 clubs that are the losers. We'll start with the winners though, and we'll kick off with the league leaders, shall we? That team, Jack, is Arsenal. It's gone quite well for them recent weeks.
It is
Apart from the
indeed.
4-0 demolishing by Southampton. But apart from that,
I mean, that was a very weird result, wasn't it?
yes.
I've seen a weird campaign from Arsenal fans that they now want Wanyama. I think it's just off the back of that game.
I think Southampton fans don't mind either, which tells you everything you need to know about that prospective transfer.
But yeah, Arsenal, they have been winners. They're top of the league now as well. They've got to be loving it. I mean, they're probably not going to win the league. I hate to say it aloud. But I mean, all they need to do is sign Troy Deeney for £20 million, which is being reported today, and they'll be fine.
Well, you see, Arsenal and my winners of the festive season. I mean, I put that one down, and you two were kind of iffy on it. But the reason being, after that, like you say, strange result against Southampton, they've arguably over the last 3 games, sort of at the end of this period, made themselves the kind of de facto favourites for the title, and they've managed to sort of manage fairly well. A pretty bad injury crisis. Sanchez is coming back in the next couple of weeks, and they're on top of the league going into 2016. So I feel like it's not the same situation that it has been for Arsenal over the last 5, 6, 7 years. They seem to be in a better place now to go on their kind of end of season run that they tend to do. But instead of trying to sneak into the top 4 with that momentum, because they've got themselves in such a good position now, they can possibly go on to win it.
I mean, they've got some tricky games coming up. They've got Liverpool mid-month, which I say tricky loosely. It's away from home. But they have also got Chelsea at home, who kind of have improved, I guess, a little bit in recent games.
Chelsea, of course, despite their bad run, beat Arsenal last time they met.
It's true. We should also mention Mourinho did get sacked since the last podcast. I know we kind of mentioned that in the feature.
Yeah,
that happened since the last show.
I'm sure at some point we'll come on to Chelsea and Jose.
Yeah.
In terms of Arsenal having been a winner, I guess the fact they're top of the league, it's very difficult to argue because you look at the table and go, yeah, probably they've had a good little run. As title contenders, I still think if they don't buy, and actually I was talking to someone recently and I said that the winner of the league will be the team that gets knocked out of the Champions League first, out of Arsenal and Man City. Now Arsenal play by Barcelona, so. And
City have...
I forget, but they're not as good.
No.
I will tell you who it is, though, because while Jack waffles about Arsenal.
Expert research. See, I think for Arsenal to win the league this year, they have to make 2 signings in this winter window.
Yeah, sorry. City have Dynamo Kiev, just to throw that in there.
So they will presumably go deeper.
That, you'd hope.
You would think so.
But I don't know. For Arsenal, I feel like they're 2 really good players, 2 really good non-injury prone players away from winning the league this year.
What position do you think?
I feel like they can win the league if they sign a striker and a real rock in the centre midfield position.
Interested in Victor Wanyama supposedly this window.
I don't understand the idea that Arsenal need a striker.
I agree with that actually.
Giroud's got 15 goals.
Yeah.
I don't know what Arsenal think that they need that is going to propel them to winning a league, and if they think it's a goal scorer, you've kind of got one.
And also, you're not. Wenger said before that it's quite a rubbish reason, really. But he said before he's quite wary of upsetting Giroud by buying a sort of another striker.
Oh, God. That annoys me.
I can imagine Giroud going extremely.
Sounds
moody.
like a pimp. But
the thing is, like, where are you going to find Giroud? Is a consistent. Say what you like about him in the big games, but if you look over the majority of the Premier League season, when you're playing teams, if you're Arsenal, statistically worse than you for most of the matches, he performs well against teams worse than them on paper.
Well, they're going to have to spend 40 million to get a player better than Giroud.
Precisely, and there's no guarantee that they'd want to rotate in the squad.
I don't necessarily think they need a player better than Giroud. I think they need an alternative to Giroud. At the moment, Walcott's in great form. I think he's got 12 goals in his last 13 Premier League starts. But Walcott doesn't stay fit. I would put money on it now that Walcott will be injured before the end of the season for at least a month.
But that situation works out not that badly for Arsenal. That Giroud's fit in there most of the time, and then Walcott can come in. I don't disagree
does stay fit as well. Quite.
Yeah.
I just think it's kind of the what-if scenario, and I think there's games where they look blunted with Giroud at the helm, and they need to have that alternative option. And I guess you could argue Joel Campbell and Walcott are those options.
But Arsenal only have one way of playing, though. It's not like you can just bring in like Aubameyang. People keep saying, "Oh, Arsenal should sign someone like Aubameyang." Why?
But the thing is, I think Arsenal do need that other way of playing to win the league. I guess that's kind of my point.
Yeah, I guess keeping everyone happy would be problematic.
I agree certainly with your point regarding a midfield general type player, because I think they've been missing that. And you could say that Coquelin and Cazorla playing further back have been partly one of the reasons for their kind of emergence over the last year since that City game, really, to become sort of genuine title challengers. I think they could still do a bit of steel in the middle. If you look at, for instance, the Barcelona game, they're probably not going to win that. But one of the ways that they might be able to scrape a draw or a win would be if they had that kind of player in the middle who was able to break up teams better than them
Lucas
passing
is
wise.
available if they want him. I've made him available now.
I feel like Arsenal do need a player like that, but only for about 8 games a season.
Well, exactly, which is why someone like Wanyama from a smaller team might be a good shout for it. Because
I think when Arsenal play a sort of a perceived bigger team, I'm talking, or a rival at least, when they're playing a United or a City or a Chelsea or Barcelona in the Champions League, that's the point where they need someone to just be I was going to say a firefighter, but that's the right word, really. Putting out the problems that are caused by the lack of experience in the middle. And I think maybe Wanyama's that. I'm not sure. This idea that Victor Wanyama is the best, like one of the best defensive midfielders in the Premier League, is a bit weird, I think. I mean, he got a move from Celtic. The standard of football in Scotland isn't incredible. He's done a good job at Southampton. But as I said earlier, Southampton fans won't be crying if he leaves.
No.
If they can get 20 million for Wanyama, I don't think they see him as this consistent player. But then we're arguably saying that Arsenal don't need a consistent player.
No,
they need
that's
a firefighter.
what I'm thinking. For
and
the
he could be the
price,
guy.
he might be a good bet for that position.
Yeah, Arsenal would have to change their style somewhat, because I don't think he's quite as good on the ball as someone like
That's what I was going to say.
Coquelin, who's done a relatively
I
good
just
job
kind
in
of
there.
feel like when you've got the talent at Arsenal, having the final third, having someone who's not going to faff around with, who is just going to play the simple pass, who is going to boot it out when they need to, that isn't necessarily going to disrupt the play massively.
No.
But do you go to Arsenal and then have that way of thinking still, or is it embedded in you? Is it ingrained in you that I have to now play a certain way because I play for Arsenal? Would Wanyama have to overcomplicate his game a little bit to fit in with what Arsenal try and do?
I think he'd obviously improve on the ball as a player going there. I don't, like you say, I'm not sure he's really needed to be good on the ball. If he brings his athleticism and his sort of power that he's shown for Southampton to that midfield when it's needed, that's the key bit, because like you say, it's not needed all the time. A lot of the time you can get away with Cazorla and Coquelin in the middle. There's only maybe 10, like you say, a handful of games each season where that quality's needed. He could then just add a little bit more cover in the centre. It does seem like a sensible signing in that regard, because we all know he's not going to be playing every game. I don't think he'd expect to either, like you say, coming from where he's come from, Celtic,
Can I make an odd shout for a player I'd like to see them sign?
Go on.
Koyate from West Ham. And that might seem mental, because Koyate has been playing a lot more advanced like this last year, but he started off as a centre-back.
Yeah.
And I quite fancy him to play that mid-role.
I'm not sure he's an Arsenal player, but...
No.
He's a West Ham player.
And I don't like the way of sort of labelling players as certain players, like a Man United. That's something that annoys me when someone goes, I don't think he's a Man United player. But when I say I don't think he's an Arsenal player, I'm not sure, one, like you say, he's been playing further forward recently, and whether he does have the quality.
Koyate is like
quality.
a cheap man's Yaya Toure, who might put in a little bit more effort these days.
But I'm not sure that's what Arsenal needs. I mean, Arsenal fans, tweet us. What do you think you need? What's the solution to making sure you're in this league?
Maybe the solution's already there. Maybe it's just a case of playing Joel Campbell every game.
Maybe. Well,
you laugh. Joel Campbell, I've seen him play a few games for Arsenal over the last month or so. He's looked pretty good coming off the bench.
He has.
I'm not sure
he hasn't started more.
He's not the difference between Arsenal winning and losing the league, though.
Well, it's the difference between England being and not being in the World Cup. So.
No, Roy Hodgson is the reason. But yes, I see your point.
Should we move on? Because we're half an hour in. We've only talked about Arsenal.
Well, this is a bumper show
20
today.
teams, are we?
This is a bumper show today.
I don't mind. Shall we go to Norwich then, who we also think have had a very good Christmas period, and despite that, are still 6 points off the bottom. But Norwich are a team, I don't think we talk about them very often at all on the show. They had a tricky run of fixtures, that if they won, you would feel like, do you know what, they could start this season, and they did just that. They're unbeaten at home now since October the 24th, when they lost to West Brom.
A run of 6 games.
Yeah, since we lost, so they beat Manchester United. I don't think we managed to talk about that on the show, although it was quite a while ago. Lost to Tottenham, who were in fine form, and then beat Villa and Southampton. And those 6 points could be 6 points that are looked back on at the end of the season and thought that was a little tricky period for us, and they got through it very well. And I think Alex Neil will be relatively happy.
I think they need to. I think this is going to sound a little bit weird, but I think those last 3 games that they've had, is it 3 wins out of 3 now?
No, the defeat to Tottenham, but Manchester United, Villa, and Southampton all wins.
But okay, so those 3 games for me, those 3 points could be or those 9 points even, if you can do maths, could be the biggest points this year. And I'll tell you why they could be the biggest points this year, because without them, Norwich doesn't look like a particularly appetising proposition to a player looking for a move to the Premier League in January. A good point. But now they are 6 points ahead of Newcastle and goal difference. And that is a cushion that I think a lot of players will look at and go, actually, Norwich isn't necessarily a bad move. It hasn't got the lure factor, of like a London-based club or like a massive city club. No respect to anyone from Norwich or the surrounding area, but it doesn't have that pull. There are players who come from abroad. They want to play in London. They want to play in Manchester. They want to play in Merseyside.
It's not a fancy move. Norwich is not. It's not the Playboy move.
And I
just
just wonder.
In
I'd expect Norwich to spend pretty big this window, if I'm honest. I think they'll spend sillily, but I think they'll spend wisely, but invest a fair amount. I know they've bought Jarvis, haven't they, now permanently?
Yeah.
I've heard
the
might be
big
on his way
rumour,
out.
8 million for Stephen Naismith is said to be as good as done. Now
that seems mental as a deal. Sorry.
Well, he's 29. He scored 3 goals this season, and it was a hat-trick against Chelsea. It does. I don't know if it's what Norwich need. It's a bit strange.
I actually think Naismith's been one of the Premier League's sort of unsung heroes, really, for the last 3 years.
He only played one game this season.
I know, but I think that he was really good in Martinez's first season. Obviously, that was 2 years ago, and he played a bigger part last year. I think that his work rate up front, and he does provide a goal threat. I know, obviously, he's only scored the 3, but he's not played much. His goal threat's big enough that when you factor in with what he brings to the team in other areas, is kind of the player that Norwich need. They're not going to sort of go all out at teams and outscore them and outpass them, but they definitely have enough about them in the squad with the signings of players like Jarvis to stay up by simply being better than other teams around them. Naismith is a top half player, in my opinion. I think he brings that. 8 million, if I was criticising the deal, 8 million seems quite steep.
I guess my issue with Naismith is I look at him and I go, you're a good striker, but £8 million to a team who, if they're going to spend that much money in January, is going to be a risk.
I don't think he's a good. This idea that he's a good striker.
I don't think he's great. I think he could do a job for them, but I don't think he's a difference maker. He's not a player. He's going to keep them up.
If it's 4 million. If it's 4 million, I think we all sit here and go, great signing.
It's a mental transfer that's not a loan. That's the kind of deal that to me screams loan him for a year if you're still in the Prem, I'd have a buy-in clause. But 8 million, even if that was the buy-in clause, seems like a massive risk.
In a similar way that Everton took Aaron Lennon from Tottenham, it's similar that take him for a year, pay his wages, or take him for 6 months, pay his wages. If he does well, get him for 5 or 6 at the end of the season when he's looking for the move. Everton are looking to improve their squad all round anyway. And it sort of makes more sense. But 8 million just seems a little bit panicky. And it's also, and I hate to bring this up because I think it's a little bit churlish, but Alex Neil, Scottish manager, buying a Scottish player for a lot of money. And it's just, it's quite Paul Lambert.
If you're going to sign a Scottish player, sign Jordan Rhodes. He's not proven in the Premier League, but he's probably better than Naismith.
Bloody hell, if it's not Austin, it's Rhodes.
Ings.
So yeah, I think it's an interesting buy. Norwich fans want Ronaldinho. Ronaldinho's looking for a move. Apparently the Premier League's an option.
They should just be like, it's Brazil. We're calling you up for Brazil. Yellow kit.
Who's this little Scottish man? Ignore him. He's the kit man.
He's from a southern area of Brazil. You've not been there.
Would Ronaldinho to Norwich be the best transfer of the last 10 years?
It would be almost as weird as Paul Gascoigne going to Boston United.
Yeah, that was a bit odd. Should we we'll kind of brush over 2 other winners of the Christmas period. Spurs and West Ham have both looked very good. I think we've been raving about Spurs, or Keane's been raving about Spurs for the last couple of weeks. Again, putting in some good performances. I mentioned the fact they beat Norwich amongst other victories and a couple of draws in there as well, I think. And West Ham, who have had a awful time with injuries, Payet being sort of the main loss in that side.
He's back now, though.
I've done extraordinarily well to sort of manage this little Christmas period and find themselves in 6th.
I don't know if we're being generous putting them in the winners.
Well, no, the reason that I put both of them in here, it's for a similar reason.
Yeah, Keano did it, so if you disagree, it's his fault.
Was that my reasoning behind it was that for both of those teams, in what has been quite a sort of up and down festive period for a number of sides, if you look at Chelsea, United, and City to a certain extent, because they started the period with a loss at Stoke, these two have consolidated their position very well. West Ham in particular have handled probably the worst injury crisis in the league. They lost their main playmaker in Payet. They lost Diafra up front. They've been missing Lanzini. They've lost a lot of players for the last month. They've absorbed it with not a huge squad. They've kept their position in 6th. I think it is 6th or 7th.
Yeah.
And in a similar way, Spurs have continued to look extremely dangerous. After they lost their unbeaten run, I think that's sort of taken a bit of a weight off their shoulders because they seem to be going for wins more, which is kind of one of the problems, I think, when teams are unbeaten. They've started to look for to kill a game more, and they've probably looked even more dangerous. And I was saying, I don't know if I mentioned this on the podcast before, but when I look at Spurs, I know I've mentioned it to you in the last couple of weeks, when I look at Spurs as a Villa fan, it just frustrates me to see what they're doing now, because there was a time not so long ago when, and I don't want to turn this into a Villa section, but I'm just
Let's get in the TARDIS. It was the 2007-2008 season. John Carew was the top goal scorer with 13 goals. Marlon Harewood was the number 9.
With this?
There was a time not so long ago when Spurs were sacking Juan de Ramos and they were in the relegation zone, and we were 6th. And look where we've gone and look where they've gone. On similar budgets, similar stadiums, similar infrastructure, and it just highlights
your scouts didn't find Bale, did they?
No. But they did find Nigel Reo-Coker, who was signed for $8 million that season.
Christian Benteke.
Sorry.
I just think.
I'm
not saying West Ham haven't. I don't think West Ham. Sorry, I'm going back to West Ham now.
That's all right. That's fine.
I don't think West Ham have done badly, but I think when you look at their results, great win against Liverpool. With the exception that you'd expect them to beat Southampton, probably beat. Well, you would expect them to beat Villa and beat Swansea, and they got draws in those 2 latter games. Whereas I look at a team like Chelsea, who went away to Manchester United, and then away to Palace. They beat Palace 3-0. They drew against United. They drew against Watford, who were in scoring form.
I think that's a good shout, actually. Yeah. It's a good shout for
but I still, as weird as it is, I still don't think Chelsea are a winner of the festive period.
I'm basically drawing comparisons between them and West Ham and saying I don't think either of them are winners. Really.
Okay, well, West Ham are unbeaten in 7.
West Ham fans, do you feel like winners at the moment? Let us know.
I bet they do. 6th. I bet they're loving it.
And the key thing is, after the injuries that they've had, after losing Payet in particular, they've maintained their position to the point now where they have those players coming back and they could kick on even further.
I mean, Chelsea fans are going to feel like winners. They're now above Norwich.
Well, let's move on to the losers. Can I just? I mean, you've got Villa in. Can we just ignore it?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, yeah, I thought you might.
Villa
agree.
were losers.
Really
if you didn't know, they were losers.
Villa are now down. Somebody tweeted from the ForTheFans account that breaking news: Villa have been relegated from the Premier League. I believe, Kino, you think Jack did that?
Yes,
it was me. Right, losers in the Premier League. We're kicking off with Manchester United. A loss against Norwich on the 19th. Loss against Stoke, where Stoke were very good, actually. Stoke have done very well, actually. They could have been one of the better sides.
They've been a little bit streaky and patchy. If they'd have...
well, they did play in stripes, so they would be streaky.
Very good, very good.
Here all week.
Touch of the bacon.
Actually, yeah, they've won 2, lost 2 in their last 4. So yeah, I go with that.
Go on.
Okay, I was just carrying on with United.
Yeah.
Obviously lost to Stoke, and then had a win against Swansea and picked up a 0-0. Was it? I'm sure it was a 0-0. 0 against Chelsea. Yes, it was. I think the sound of discontent is louder than anything else at Old Trafford at the moment, and it's a bit awkward when they win because everyone kind of wants. I don't know if everyone wants Mourinho. I guess we can kind of touch on the Chelsea Mourinho thing now. Do we think Mourinho would be a good fit at United?
Go on, Jack.
In a word.
I want him to go there for the theatre.
Theatre of Dreams.
I think it'd be a great narrative.
Good. I think he's always wanted that job since Ferguson left. Probably when Ferguson had it.
Well, they say that was his first choice when Ferguson went, and obviously he had to go back to Chelsea because he wanted to work in England. So, yeah. I would say if I was a United fan now, and if I was Ed Woodward, today Pep Guardiola announced that he's going to manage in England next.
He's going to manage at Man City.
Well, if I was United, one of the richest clubs in the world, I would be using every million of the record revenue that they've just brought in the last couple of years. I would be using every pound of that to get Guardiola to the club.
I would like to say the same for Arsenal as well, but yeah.
They probably... Yeah, but arguably United need a bit of a sort of shot of adrenaline that he would bring more than Arsenal.
Rodgers is available.
Can you imagine if Guardiola Mourinho is happening in the Premier League soon?
It would be brilliant. I mean, I am just... I cannot wait for Guardiola to manage in England. It'll be fascinating to see how he
awkward now if he just goes to France, goes to PSG.
Yeah, well, he announced today that he'd be moving.
Yeah, he wants the Premier League. Guardiola wants the Premier League.
But like you say, with United, yeah, we all want him. I love Pep. But with
he's not coming to Villa. I'm sorry.
But he may well be at the playoff final next season if he gets some tickets. He might be in London. I mean, there's a chance he'll be there.
If anyone, that's fine. I'll kidnap him, take him to Birmingham.
You know when Christian Benteke ruined Liverpool at Anfield, Kino? This is my revenge. I'm not joking.
I saw a fantastic tweet over Christmas, which was that Liverpool have basically paid £32 million to watch Villa get relegated.
Jack, have you got a Villa fact for me?
Oh, I have. I've got to find it again.
All right, I'll let you get it.
Let's talk about United. We've hardly said anything about him.
Well, would you at this point, Kino, would you replace Jose Mourinho with Louis van Gaal? Sorry, would you replace Louis van Gaal with Jose Mourinho? Based on how they're playing, on the results that have been done.
I think that with Van Gaal, it's slightly a case of kind of, I might be slated for this, but I feel like it's the kind of loud minority who are and you may say, oh, everyone's singing at Old Trafford, attack, attack, attack. But I feel like it's that kind of thought that has come from quite a small number of fans, has sort of spread to the media, and it's being amplified. If you look at where they are, they're 3 points off the top three, and there's no point in sacking him now when someone like Guardiola isn't even going to think about jumping ship out of Bayern. If you're United and you at least aspire to get someone like Guardiola, you're not going to get him mid-season. So while it's still kind of okay, I'd settle for another Champions League finish with Van Gaal, which I think they'll get, and then move him on a year earlier than he otherwise would have been.
I'd get Giggs in as interim manager again.
Well, you could do that.
Would you really, though? Are you being serious with that?
I think Giggs cares more than Van Gaal. I can't remember which game it was with Van Gaal.
But who cares if he cares more? Like that for United, that should not be a priority at the moment.
I just think that, I don't know. I feel like Giggs could do as good a job as Van Gaal's doing at the moment.
Yeah, no, that's
and I think he'd make the dressing room look like they care as much as he cares.
The thing I worry about Giggs as a manager in this situation, he might turn out to be a very good manager later in his life, but right now I worry that if he took over United, he would go back to instinctively, because it's what he's known as a player, he'd go back instinctively to a kind of a slightly more old-fashioned wing-centred style of play where United would put a lot of pressure on teams. I'm not sure that's what they need right now. I feel like if you look at how well they defended this season, they're kind of 2/3 of the way there to being a really good side, and they kind of showed it earlier on in the year. I think everyone would agree that Van Gaal's actually sort of disciplined them quite well. It's that discipline that is holding them back.
Well, and he's made Chris Smalling better. I think
he's turned him into one of the best centre-halves in the league, and probably the form English centre-half if you're going into the Euros. He's still not
as good as Phil Jones, but I'll give it to you.
So I would keep him, but there's not that much that needs to be changed about United, in my view, at the moment, other than a kind of slight unlocking of attacking flair.
Yeah.
And that could just be a case of confidence, actually. It might not just be a Van Gaal problem.
I think the expectation changed when Leicester were top of the league, I think. I think coming into this season, if you'd have had Chelsea and City fighting out for the league and both going on sort of ridiculous unbeaten runs and challenging, and United was sitting in third or fourth, and it was just sort of like it wasn't a title-winning season, but it was just very much like the season now in many ways.
Yeah.
It would be, look, Van Gaal's in to get us back in the Champions League and keep us there. That's his MO. After this season, we'll bring someone else in. Whether he hands it on to Giggs to try and push forward, or he brings in someone like Mourinho or Pep, as you say, I think the expectation changed, and that's what put the pressure on Van Gaal.
He's on a 3-year deal, and presumably after the Moyes season, which was a car crash year, the idea of bringing someone like him in...
Can I just say, I don't buy that whole car crash thing.
About Moyes?
Seventh for United.
Van Gaal, no, because I think Van Gaal's United and Moyes' United at Christmas had the same amount of points.
Yeah, if you look at it statistically like that, but in the way the teams are playing, it's not the same. And realistically, I think you get quite good odds for United coming into the top 4 right now. They will find a way to scrape it in, and that was basically Van Gaal's sort of remit when they signed him. He wasn't signed on a 3-year, fairly short-term deal to create a new dynasty at Old Trafford. He was signed to bring them fairly moderate but instant success that they'd obviously lost straight away with Moyes. If he gets them into the top 4 for 2 of his 3 years, and maybe they move him out in the summer, he's arguably done an okay job. He won't win them the title, probably.
He's there to hand it off in a much better place than when he got the job.
And if you and if you imagine someone like Guardiola or Mourinho coming in the summer or the year after, they will find a better team there than if they'd come in 2 years before.
Yeah, I think the point we can kind of make is Mourinho and Pep would not have taken the United job after Moyes, but they might take it after Van Gaal. And I think that's a key point to make. In terms of other losers, Liverpool are rubbish, Jack.
They are.
Well, I put them there because obviously they've had some poor results, but what do you think is the reason for it?
If you have a defence as bad as Liverpool's and you only score one goal a game, you're not going to win many games. That's basically.
So do you think it's a systemic thing? Do you think it's? Would you put it down to
Liverpool
what I might sort of say?
I mean, Liverpool look crap defensively, despite them clean sheets against Sunderland and Leicester. For the most part, they've looked pretty woeful. I think of the Watford game as a big standout one. And the other issue Liverpool have got is they've scored 2 goals in their last 4 league games.
Do you
and
think?
I don't see where the goals are coming from.
As to sort of someone looking from the outside in, would you put it down to the fact that maybe it's not? Klopp hasn't had time to sign players and buy players that fit with his system. Is he trying to shoehorn it in?
To be honest, I think it's a case of he doesn't know what his best team is. He doesn't know how he wants to approach games. It's like he's got a jigsaw puzzle, and he's trying to get the answers, but there's so many pieces missing that it's never going to be a complete picture.
Yeah. What do you think, Ben?
I think Klopp knows what his best team is at Liverpool right now. It's just shit. And
just not good enough.
There's just so many players in our squad that wouldn't touch a team that are fighting for the Champions League right now. And which is awkward because obviously Leicester and Tottenham are there, and we've got players on the same level as Tottenham, obviously. But I mean, if you go through that Liverpool squad, you've got a lot of players that are good players, but they're not. Like, our expectation in our squad don't match up. I think a lot of people thought we could get in the top 4 this season, and again, it partly comes down to the season of expectation where Leicester go on this ridiculous run, and everyone thinks, well, if Leicester are there, we should be there, and everyone thinks that at that point, and that kind of ruins it. Whereas in reality, Leicester's run is. I mean, it
has all gone downhill since I uttered that we might win the league like a month and a half.
Well, the problem for Klopp is, of course, he's not signed anyone, but he took this job on, knowing what the squad was like. Maybe it surprised him with how bad it is. I think there needs to be a core change at Liverpool in terms of, I think, while Mignolet, everyone's going to go, but 16 clean sheets, yeah, they're great, but in 16 games he's made an error, or he's done something daft. So I love lovely clean sheets, well done. In terms of back 2, I think Lovren and Sacco can develop something. A lot of people saying, well, they're both rubbish. I mean, they've played about 6 games together this season. There's not enough time gone there for them to be written off completely. Fullbacks, I actually don't think it's a massive concern. I think Moreno and Klein.
Maybe.
I think they do a relatively good job. I don't know if we're going to get anyone much better than Moreno at this point. It's in the forward areas where we have big problems. Benteke, I think, is a good player if you play a system that suits him, and I thought Liverpool would do that. If you don't sign wingers, and the only winger at the club, you've got to think about this, right? Liverpool Football Club have one winger at the club, and it's Jordan Ibe. How have we got to that point where we've got a 6'3", 6'4"
James Milner,
Christian Benteke?
best right midfielder in the league?
Well, you've got one winger. You sold Sterling. You let Markovic go out on loan. Like, to the point where Ryan Kent has been recalled, who's been on loan at Coventry. Like.
It's funny actually because it seems like Markovic might actually be a player that Klopp might like.
I totally agree. I think at this point, you look at Dortmund's side, you look at Blazikowski. I'm not saying Markovic is as good as Blazikowski, but he suits the similar mould.
He's young as well, and yeah, I agree. Well, I think that he didn't fit. It's funny because you've had the signings that you've made in the last couple of years seem to have almost been like, it's like a lot of those signings that Rodgers made should have been ones that Klopp was making. Like, I feel like Markovic would fit with the sort of high intensity game that Klopp would want to play. So you'll need to get him back.
I'm not sure Klopp would have spent 19 million on him though.
No, I just think it's a little bit mental how a player like Markovic, who is one of a very select few wingers in the entire team, could be loaned out without a recall clause. Like, surely anyone with a brain cell looks at the Liverpool squad and goes, actually, we might need to recall him at some point if we do get a few injuries.
And not so long ago, it's funny that he's been loaned out so quickly because, 18 months ago he was extremely highly rated as part of a really, really good Benfica team. And lots of clubs other than Liverpool was looking at him, and they've seemed to have sent him out quite quickly on loan. I feel like that's kind of been fueled a little bit by the backlash of a fairly sort of average first season. But he's young, he's coming to another country. You'd expect that, really.
I guess I'll make sort of two final points on it. Again, Liverpool's expectation from a fan perspective changes based on the results. So when we're playing well, you look at the young players, you go, "Oh, this is good, isn't it? Look how they're sort of progressing." So you know, let's not expect too much. And then as soon as it starts going wrong, they're all terrible. So we start off by thinking, "Oh, do you know what? We'll be progressive. We'll get some young players in. It's going to take some time." And then get halfway through a season, everyone goes, "We haven't got time. We should be in the Champions League," and it changes very quickly. The other key point to make, and it's something we didn't touch on, and we say how bad the squad is. Daniel Sturridge makes Liverpool a different football team. The issue being we cannot rely on him. So, and Origi actually, in fairness, in the last few weeks has done quite well. Benteke is not a similar standard player to Sturridge
as well now, isn't he?
He doesn't play the same as Sturridge. He arguably doesn't work as hard as Sturridge. He doesn't have the same amount of quality as Daniel Sturridge.
No.
And it's the system that Liverpool flourish in the best. So I'm not now sure what we're going to do with Benteke. I'm not sure what we're going to do with Daniel Sturridge, and it leaves a big window now for Klopp, which won't fix things. I think the idea that Klopp's going to make signings, they're going to be worth 3 or 4 million and turn into world beaters like he did at Dortmund, is fantasy. I think in the summer is where we'll see Klopp. I could see 10, 15 players leaving. Yeah. It could be that drastic.
I think arguably you need that. I think that's what you probably need.
And it's a huge risk, but what I've got to lose at this point.
I mean, I know earlier in the podcast, Keno said that he thought West Ham were the team hit hardest by injuries. I think Arsenal are up there, but also Liverpool are already up there. You look at the strikers missing. Origi is out injured. Sturridge is out injured. Ings is out injured. Benteke is the only fit striker. In that team. You look at the fact that Benteke has been dropped when we've not had any strikers. It really is testament to the kind of current situation. And Mourinho's kind of been shoehorned up there.
Well, I think Klopp is rightly furious with the performance. I think some of the performance has been dreadful, just low effort. I will say Jordan Henderson's return has been a bright light. I think again we're a different team when he plays. He didn't play at the weekend, and it showed. And we were just
as well tonight. We should point out
it was just embarrassing.
I mean, if Liverpool won the League Cup this year and I missed out on the top 4, I'd be disappointed, but I wouldn't be kind of. I don't know. I'd be.
I feel like Klopp shouldn't be judged on league placement.
I'd see a silver lining to it, I guess.
Yeah,
I think Klopp should, in some regard, be judged on league placement for the point that if it's too low, it'll be a bit like you weren't brought in to do that. I mean, Brendan could have done that. And
I mean,
that's
eighth
kind of the
place,
point.
At the moment, it's a little bit disappointing.
Yeah, but again, if a couple of wins and a League Cup victory, and again, Liverpool's idea changes again. I will say, at time of recording, Liverpool start tonight strikerless with Benteke on the bench. No IB, the classic Leeds on the bench as well. We're actually playing the same team that were very good against Manchester City and Chelsea.
Do you want to give us a score prediction that the listeners will hear after the result?
2-2.
See, I was going to go 2-2.
Sorry, Stoker in good form, and we're a bit like Kolo Touré starts. So
I'm going to go with 5-3 to Liverpool.
So that's it. Well, I like your ambitious prediction.
Although we do well in the League Cup, 6 against Southampton at the start of the month, or start of last month.
Yeah. Southampton had a funny time. I guess we'll touch on 2 other teams. Southampton had a funny time.
Great link.
Dropping a little bit like a rock in the league. It's a bit sad in many ways. 13th at the moment. And
still ahead of Chelsea.
Yeah, still ahead of Chelsea. But they've had a tough little time. Obviously, losses to Norwich, got smashed by Liverpool. It's not been great for Southampton. Lost to West Ham as well.
Mane's been a very naughty boy.
He has been, and I think the Mane incident, if people haven't seen it, he turned up late for the pre-game meeting. I think it was. They were away.
He didn't just miss it. Did he?
Or maybe he just missed it. But I think it's kind of.
He was there for the last 10 minutes.
It's kind of indicative of the slight malaise that has sort of come over their squad this season. And you see it a lot, actually, with teams that have sort of done well the previous year, defied expectations.
Swansea, another one of those.
Swansea are a great example under Laudrup, actually, in the season before he left, in that year. And I'm not suggesting that Koeman's going to go the same way, but it's a problem that you often see with smaller sides. I think they'll be fine. They're sort of hovering in a fairly dangerous place at the moment, but they'll obviously be fine. They've got the quality to stay out of the fight. However, it's been a really pretty disappointing festive period for Southampton, I think.
I feel like Southampton are another example. Leicester are a key reason to why so many fans are unhappy.
It's changed the perception of the league this year, without a doubt. by fans and players.
It's fascinating to see, because obviously Leicester's surge has just made every other team go, that could be us. And
I was going to say, at the start of the season, if you told me you choose between Southampton and Leicester, one of these teams is going to be second, who is it?
Southampton.
I'd probably be going with Southampton.
Yeah. I hope we don't see, like, if say Southampton lose the next two, right, and they're suddenly like 4 or 5 points off the relegation zone.
Surprised.
I would hate to see that. But I would hate to see the Southampton board knee jerk.
Or I agree.
That would be so disappointing, because I actually think Koeman does a relatively good job there, and he's had a few of his like better players pinched, as he seems to always have the situation of it going on, and it may well happen again at the end of this season. And he went in there, revitalised that squad, proved that he could turn it from sort of a nothing squad to a squad that had a great season last year. So as I said, I'd hate to see a knee-jerk reaction from the Southampton board.
Think if they were to sell Wanyama, which I'm to be honest, I don't think they will, that could really hurt them as well. And that's who do you bring in to replace that?
Yeah, but that's what was said when Lallana and Shaw and everyone else left, and then they.
But I think you look at those players; there are still players ready to step in, like Target at left back. For Lallana, obviously they've had talent out wide that they've brought in, players like Mane, for example.
But if they didn't work out, you'd say, oh, what was Southampton thinking? So they've done well in the transfer market. We'll touch on Leicester. I think it's weird to put Leicester in sort of the loser category because they're second in the Premier League.
It's a bit of a harsh one, I will say.
Yeah, overall, I would say they're winners. But I think in terms of their recent results, I think even they'll be disappointed, right, to have had so many draws.
Well, I think the fact that they're there, again, I picked these. I might have been a bit harsh, but the reason that I put them there is because if you judge it on how brilliant they've been this year, it is almost a sort of compliment.
This year they've not scored, so they're not really great this year. Sorry, they're a week.
You're like Reddit or YouTube comments, Jack, just rolled into one.
They've not scored in the last three.
Well, that's the thing. If you look at how well they've done this season, Mahrez and Vardy have stopped scoring. Obviously, they've got a point against like City at home. That was a really good result. But they have just tailed off slightly in form. Now, whether that's because they've got a little bit tired or just they've not been at quite on the level that they've been.
I think they've
prior.
decided they're Manchester United. They've had one goal in their last 3 games, and it was Liverpool scoring against them.
Yeah.
We're the best team in the Premier League.
We're so good. Woo!
They've basically gone for the approach of, right, we're just not going to concede anymore. Vardy, you've had all your goals, mate. Now we're going for 0-0s.
I do appreciate it. I think a bit tongue-in-cheek, Leicester. If this would have happened at the start of the season, you'd gone, yeah, that's pretty normal. But
a point against City at home, that's great.
I think in terms of are we going to do like a little? So I think there's our sort of winners and losers. If you didn't mention your team, I mean, you probably you weren't doing all right.
You've probably been all right. Yeah,
Watford do deserve a mini shout out.
Yes.
I feel like Watford go under the radar a lot.
Sunderland and Newcastle have been a bit naff as well.
We look at Watford's last 4 games. They've played Liverpool, Chelsea, Tottenham and Man City, and they've got 4 points from those games. That is not bad.
Isn't it?
No,
it's just a bit depressing though, isn't it?
I mean, Ighalo is basically the best player in the Premier League right now.
Well, yeah, the form of Ighalo is just... he had a great calendar year, didn't he? When you talk about years, I think he scored more than any other player in English top 4 league. I think.
He's got 14 shares. Actually, can I tell you, my worry for Watford is that they are playing superbly now, but between Ighalo and Deeney, they've got 20 goals. The next highest goal scorer is Abdi with 1.
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually. And if they do tail off in form slightly, it could... I think, obviously, they've got enough points now that they'll be fine. Not mathematically, but to the point where I think there's enough room between them.
Villa aren't catching them.
Yeah, we're not, and they've got enough room between any of the sort of dangerous areas of the league, so they should be fine. But you're right, if they don't score, if they tail off in form, in a similar way to like Mahrez and Vardy, they could find it difficult to win matches.
Yeah, are we doing predictions?
Well, yes, this
the rest of the year.
This is the last thing, and I think similar to, if anyone's been listening since the World Cup, similar to what we did then, I recorded
Kino says we because we gave you our predictions in confidentiality.
Yeah, we did.
Exactly. So I took your predictions for the World Cup and then sort of kept them, and we went back to them after the fact and sort of compared them and how bad they were.
So are we going to make predictions vocally or in secret?
Vocally. We can't write them down now, can we? People won't know.
No, we'll make them. Yeah, well, I'll just note them down, and we'll just see what happens. Come.
All right, pull out your Google Doc and prepare yourself.
Yeah, I've got it here.
So don't type too loud.
No, I won't. It's on my laptop.
So the predictions are... We're going to do some listener questions, but if you're waiting for those...
I've changed the bottom one. And also, you can kind of... we're going to do Twitter questions, but you can tweet in with your views on this as well. This is sort of...
Please do.
At ForTheFans Show on Twitter. So
also
on the YouTube comments.
If you're on YouTube, the comment section is a perfect place to do this right now.
Let us know what you get all the people for Christmas too.
As it will stand the test of time. We could even go back through and have a look at them when we sort of come to May.
It's an hour in and it's a mess. I can feel it coming.
Escaped. No.
Can we name and shame people who have terrible predictions at the end of the year and just not acknowledge our own terrible ones?
I worry that will be us.
Yours will definitely be acknowledged. Go on, Ben. Read them out.
Would you like to do it? I feel like you'd like to do this, Callum.
I'll take this section.
Well, he's taking command. New year, new you. Go for it.
So, this is...
Sorry, can I just say, I hate people who say new year, new me. If you're one of those people, I'm sorry.
Have you made a resolution this year, Jack?
You text me that. What do you mean?
Have I made a resolution? My resolution is to eat less Dominoes, but I've already had one this year, so it's not gone very well.
That is a good resolution, knowing you, though, Jack.
I've already had one. It's the 5th.
I'll stick to the second. Okay,
I've already had one.
The second.
The second day, and it was like pizza.
Okay, I came back to my flat from my parents, and there was no food, so I got Dominoes. I feel like that's allowed. I feel like that's
It's a very expensive way to eat, though, Jack.
I mean, less is relative, isn't it? Really. I mean, 1 in 5 days is less than 2 in 5 days. So.
I mean, that is relative.
You don't want it though, where 20% of all the days in your year are made up by Dominoes, though.
Don't worry, it's only 1 in 7, 2 for Tuesdays. I might say there's leftovers on Wednesdays.
Bringing back to the.
This is for me and you, Callum. Can you just write this down in your document? How many Dominoes do we think Jack will have had by the end of the season?
Okay, so how long is that? That's 4 months from.
I'm going 22.
22.
22 different Dominoes in 5 months.
I feel like if one of you said 3, that would encourage me not to get any more.
I think you should record these, Jack, and this will be a nice little sort of.
I'll do it as a little food diary about Dominoes.
22. So
that's for January. I think for February.
It's Tuesday today. Right, I need to order. 1 sec.
22 overall.
I'm going to say 30.
30?
You've got more. So annoying.
No, 15.
50? Yeah, I think 50.
I think 15 is not actually unreasonable. 3 a month is not unreasonable by my standards.
I went 4.5 a month because I know what you're like.
Anyway, right, on with the predictions. Similar fashion to the World Cup, which worked out brilliantly, as we all know. So we've got... There's 3 I've got here, and I'll slightly change the 4th to make it kind of...
Sorry, I've just seen the second question and the bit at the end of it. I hope that's actually going to be like performed by you, like a script.
Yeah.
Okay. So the questions are: who will be the Premier League champions in 5 months' time? Who will be relegated from the Premier League?
In brackets, lol.
No, good acting. He was laughing out loud. I enjoyed that.
Who will make up the rest of the Champions League places? So the other 3. So who will be your top 4? And what I've written here is what might the England squad look like heading into the Euros. But I will say who will be your surprise pick for the squad?
Dele Alli striker.
Well, don't spoil it, but try and think a little bit left field. I know Hodgson isn't really...
James Milner, he's a great left winger.
I wasn't really up for any kind of wacky squad announcements.
I've got a good answer for that.
I think I've got one.
But yeah,
too.
so think about that, and it'll just be interesting to see. So, let me just get ready to note these down.
Spoiler: mine's Farrell Williams, who's recently signed for Arsenal from Liverpool.
Bit of thinking time.
Well, mine was Ryan Jarvis. He's got to add to that 1 cap he got.
All right.
That's like left field.
So,
I feel like I've got to think.
Who will win the league?
The league winners will be Manchester City by 6 points.
I like the specificity as well of that. That's good.
The I can't say that word. Is that
yeah,
a word?
No, it took me. Man City, and in brackets by 6 points.
There you are.
Jack, who wins the league for you?
Tottenham on goal difference.
I like that one.
They've got the best goal difference in the league at the moment.
Yeah, I know, but
I feel like if I just go City, that's boring.
I mean, I've gone for the right answer.
Good. I like that, at least.
So we get marks of creativity.
Now,
Callum?
boys, who do you think...
No, hang on, wait, slow down.
Am I doing one as well?
I think Jack.
Yeah, if I'm being thrown under the bus saying Tottenham, you have to be thrown under with me.
Okay, fair enough.
Please say Leicester.
My heart is saying Leicester. My head is
Villa?
saying Arsenal.
Okay. I shouldn't laugh because this
If
is going to
Leicester
fight me.
now win, I'm sorry we've underestimated you in 5 months' time if we play this back.
Are we ruling out Liverpool then?
Mate,
Just
I think
about.
we have to at this point. We have to let it go at some point.
Damn.
I mean, we're behind Crystal Palace, and I feel like if we're going to say Liverpool can win the league, we have to say Palace could win it.
Next question.
Next question is who do you think will make up the bottom three? Ben.
I think it'll be Aston Villa. Is that fair?
I mean,
Is that
are you
really-
just saying that because Keno's here?
They will
That's
have.
really
They will
mean,
have.
man.
And they will have 16 points.
Right.
That's ambitious.
2 wins and 2 draws. I also
Christ.
think they will be joined by Sunderland and Swansea.
Yes. Next. Good.
Right, so I'm thinking... Oh, I don't want to say it, but I kind of do. I'm going to go with Villa, I'm sorry.
That's
That's not the
fine.
one I was talking about. I know where you've
Okay.
now come to accept it at this point.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly.
I'm looking forward to
I'm
Villa.
then
I'm quite
I'm
okay
then
with
going to
you
go with Swansea,
Ooh,
Oh, you as well.
and I'm then going to go with Bournemouth.
Okay.
now that's interesting.
I
So
just
none
think
of your
Newcastle-
northeastern clubs are going.
They seem to stay up every year, and every
It's
year I'd
true.
say they're going to go down. So I might as well say this year they're going to stay up in the hopes of it's like reverse psychology.
It is
and if
true.
I'm wrong, then
I just want to. Yeah, just to clarify for our listeners, I don't hate any of these clubs. I've just been asked to tell you who I think will go down. At the beginning of the season, I said Leicester would go down.
I mean,
So
that's
maybe
fair, isn't it?
maybe Ben's relegation prediction is kind of
Maybe
a kiss
Villa
of
will be
life.
second by the end of the year.
Maybe we'll actually work it out. Who knows?
The only teams to survive is Sunderland. I think I said that Bournemouth and Leicester would go down with Sunderland at the start of the season.
Yeah.
That's not gone too well.
No.
So, Callum, your predictions here.
Now,
Save the best till last.
I'll go from 18th place downwards. So I'll save the bottom club.
Can I just say, Villa will get 10 points.
I think that Villa will be 18th. I don't think. No, I'm joking. God, we're down.
The fact you're joking about still being relegated really gives us kind of context to the situation that the club's
It's so
in.
fancy for you guys. I think we'll be 8. Right, come on. Who else is going down?
I quite like the Swansea shout. Actually, I think the longer they go
you
without,
as well.
I think the longer they go without appointing a manager, I'm not sure it's a good idea.
I think they're sinking.
If they change that, they could be fine. But in the current scenario, that's sort of I'm worried about them. So
It would be
Swansea,
weird if they just brought Gary Monk back. Has
possibly.
their club ever done that? Like where they get rid of a
That
manager and
could.
bring him back?
That could happen. Advocat literally did that himself, did he? With Sunderland?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I guess he did.
I think
Yeah.
so. Swansea, I think Sunderland are almost as bad as we are. Not quite, but
I mean,
almost.
they've got double your points total, but almost as
but
bad.
but I think they're also terrible. So I'm going to say Sunderland. I think Newcastle wriggle their way out of it like they tend to do.
So me and Callum Keane have gone the exact same.
And yeah,
Boring.
Interesting.
the Villa. I think.
I mean,
we think Newcastle and Bournemouth will be safe then.
I don't
you
want
know.
to believe that the Villa will go down.
But they are.
I'm
Definitely
just
going down.
worried for Bournemouth. I'm sorry. I really like Bournemouth, but I feel like they're constantly punching above their weight.
All right, let's go to the next one. Champions League places.
Champions League places. So we've got Ben. You've got Man City. Jack's got Spurs. I've got Arsenal. Who are your other three?
I'll give you an order if you like.
Okay.
Manchester City will be top of the league. Arsenal will be 6 points behind. It'll then be Manchester United in third place, and in fourth place will be Tottenham.
So you think Leicester will slip outside? They won't.
I do think Leicester will finish sixth. I also think that no, I'm not saying it because I've said it
You were going to say
publicly
Liverpool were going
elsewhere.
to finish fifth.
No, I've said Chelsea will finish above Leicester.
Interesting.
But don't record that one.
I mean,
Don't write
I
that
think it's
down.
recorded now. This is really hard. I think this is one of the hardest years to predict the top four. Just because we're only halfway through the season, it could still completely change.
Well, that's the fun of it.
That's
Yeah,
why. That's literally a prediction.
why we're doing it. That
So
is the
I'm going to
point.
go with Tottenham winning the league,
Right.
Okay.
obviously. I'm then going to go with Manchester City finishing second.
Okay.
I'm then going to go with Manchester United finishing third.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to go with West Ham finishing fourth.
So Arsenal, from top of the league at Christmas, fall outside the top four
Going fifth.
for the first time in human history.
And then Wenger
Arsenal.
gets sacked and Guardiola comes in.
I feel like Jack realised his mistake halfway through what I was telling him and then ran with it.
Kino, please stop. Write it down.
He's
Write
down.
it
Can I
down.
just say
Got
the truth is I'm a closet Tottenham fan. So I have to slate the other North
write
London
it down.
club.
Write it down.
I went past
write it
White
down,
Hart Lane every
Kino.
day on my way to work for a year, so like I'm biased.
Final question. Then we've had a record number of viewer questions. So
Kino's
come
got
on.
to give his too.
Kino, go on.
So I think I'm not sure about the order. I think City will come second, but then my two, I think Leicester will hold on to stay in the top four. Actually,
Mad. That's
yeah.
mad.
Well, I think
If they do that, then
if you-
every
if-
single person in the world is playing as them on Football Manager
Wait,
next year.
I've said I've got to do a series as Leicester just as a fox. If they go in the top four,
Can I change my predictions?
yeah.
that tweet's got 50 retweets plus, so it's in the memory of too many people now. Oh no.
So Arsenal win it. Spurs, Leicester, and City in my top four. I do think United will fail to make the Champions
Can I
League.
just say, I don't hate your Arsenal. I almost want Arsenal to come fifth just so Wenger leaves.
I'd just like to point out, neither me or Jack have put Liverpool in the top four. We're not as biased as you think.
I mean, they're coming fifth.
I mean, yeah, fifth. I agree. That's what I'm holding on to. Final question, Callum.
So yeah, your surprise selection for the England squad. Who do you think
Okay.
will be making headlines in 6 months'
Can
time?
I? Okay, well, I'll answer that question. Now, let me make a caveat. This is not a surprise, but the way in which he will be entered into the squad is the surprise factor. Okay?
You could. I'll widen it slightly to the kind of if you say who you've got, but then maybe a surprise that might not be a selection, something out of the ordinary which might happen.
Okay. My predict. This is very bold. Okay. So this is dangerous. Jamie Vardy will not make it into the England squad, and the reason for that will be Wayne Rooney will score 15 goals from now to the end of the season.
What are you smoking?
There's my prediction.
Interesting. It's on the record. It's down on the paper.
That is bloody mental. I mean, Rooney got less goals in 2015 than Charlie Austin.
I mean, it's not surprising that you've given me that fact, but yeah. I think Jamie Vardy might make it to the squad and should do, but I think Rooney will have a far better second half of the season than Vardy.
Yes. Well,
That's my prediction.
Do I get to have a go now?
Yeah.
Declan Rudd will be selected as third choice goalkeeper.
Love that. Big fan of that. Yes.
I do like that actually because
That
he's
was
been.
just
Love that.
He's been
He's
good
been
for Norwich so
excellent.
far.
He's good mates with Butland as well. So yeah, I'm all for that.
Lads
Not
on
that matters.
tour. France
Yeah.
2K16.
Well, there's no Forster. John Ruddy's awful. Ben Foster. Ben Foster. We've not factored in Ben Foster. He'll be back from injury.
The Foster effect.
Yeah.
And he
Hodgson loves him.
He manages to get into various squads, doesn't he?
I'd like to
by
think.
being Ben Foster.
I'd like to think that Hodgson will select Rudd, thinking it's Ruddy.
I made the prediction that Rooney will score 15 from now to the end of the season. Jack called it mental, despite the fact he thinks Arsenal will finish outside the top four. Anyway,
I think I know which one I'd back more in a bet.
okay. Can I predict your prediction?
Go on.
Go ahead.
Charlie Austin will be the fourth striker in the sort of squad.
I want to see him.
What's your prediction?
I think Charlie Austin moves to Chelsea. I've got to go big here.
Oh God damn it!
It gets worse. And
No,
worse.
I think Charlie.
Every week
can
we
I
get
say
new-
something even more mental? I think he'll actually go to Arsenal because Arsenal won't get Deeney and he'll want to stay in London.
Why are Arsenal signing Deeney?
Write them down. Write them all down.
It's all part of my plan to sabotage him into coming fifth.
Oh God!
The Charlie Austin
Deeney
effect.
to Arsenal? Question mark. Austin to Arsenal,
more likely.
question mark.
I didn't say that
60%,
Deeney was going to be, but
40%.
that's reported. But Charlie Austin definitely will move to a London club this January, despite going for the whole I'm not looking for a move.
That's such a cop-out. That's such a cop-out.
No, I
because
think
he's like heavily
Arsenal
linked
are
with
the
Palace.
London-based club he'll go
He's
to.
heavily linked with Palace, and the Jack will go, "Oh, yeah, I told you he'd go to a London club." Right, Callum, make a prediction.
We've all
Declan
heard.
Rudd was a good one, though, Jack. I
Now,
enjoyed that.
I almost wanted to say the opposite of your prediction, Ben, that Wayne Rooney may struggle to... And if when he inevitably does, there will be big backlash to Wayne Rooney being captaining England into the Euros, because I think his season will go from bad to worse.
Callum, I prefer yours.
I know, but it's a bit more of a long shot.
I mean,
but
Steven Gerrard scored as many Premier League goals as Rooney last calendar year, and he was only there for half a year. So Gerrard, get on the plane.
yeah, well, you can make as good a case for him as you could for Rooney right now. So I would prefer to see that. Whether it'll happen is questionable. I think, looking at an English player, I think Mark Albrighton might make the provisional squad. And he'll then not...
That's a very tame prediction.
Well, no, you're right as well. That's the most.
And he'll
thing.
put some crosses in, which is all he does in the in some of the friendlies. And then there'll be a big clamour for him to go, and he'll just miss out. But Mark Albrighton will be in the England squad.
Just quickly, in my brain, Gerrard and Lampard have retired.
They have retired from England, but I think they can come back.
But just retired. I know that. I know they're in the MLS. I've seen them play. But they've retired. To me, they're the exact same as David
both on Monday
Beckham
Night
to me
Football.
right now.
They're as good as retired.
Yeah, because I see Gerrard do more things not playing.
Okay,
now.
I'll tell you now. Gerrard has retired. I'll tell you why he's retired. Because I think it's today or tomorrow he's playing in a Liverpool Legends, the Australia Legends exhibition match in Australia.
God,
that is the point where you hit retirement.
That's when you know you've retired.
I don't care if you have a contract. If you play in a Legends game, you've retired.
Harry Kewell and Brad Jones, it's the biggest game of their life. Right.
Wait, I want to believe they're playing for Australia.
Kino, did you make a prediction? I'm lost.
Mark Albrighton will be in the England squad.
All right.
They're not England prediction.
No, hang on. Are you saying the 23?
Okay, fucking Troy Deeney will be in the 18, 19.
Yes, that's what we wanted.
Is that better?
That's what we wanted.
If he gets his
Okay.
move to Arsenal, he's guaranteed it.
And I don't like Troy Deeney.
If he gets his move to Arsenal. Oh, dear. Right. Let's wrap this up. We've got viewer questions. Let's fire
Liverpool
through
kick off
them.
in 2 minutes.
Have you guys got some? Oh.
We've got honestly, it's a record for the amount of questions we've been asked. It really is.
So you take charge of the questions then, because I've done the predictions.
Right, we're talking. It's 2 minutes till Liverpool kick off.
This is quick fire to the nth degree. Okay. Opinions on player of the year, young player of the year. I want a name from each of you very quickly. Player of the year, Jack.
Vardy.
Kino.
Jack.
Jack's not eligible.
Why?
I answered.
Jack said Vardy.
Oh, I didn't hear him. Sorry.
You can't nominate Jack.
For regular player or young
I'm
player.
flattered. I know. I've had quite a good season this year.
It's got to be Jamie Vardy, hasn't it?
Okay, Mesut Ozil is my answer.
Oh well, yeah, possibly.
Yeah, sorry boys. Young player of the year.
Dele Alli.
Kino.
Dele Alli.
You're just copying me now.
I'll go with Romelu Lukaku. After he's had a very good end to the season. Predict a major transfer. There's lots of predictions here. Predict a major transfer that will happen in January.
Deeney and Austin double move to Arsenal.
Make it explicit. I just want to say, for fuck's sake. Right. Kino?
That's a difficult one.
Well, Villa aren't signing anyone, so just...
Christian Benteke to leave Liverpool.
Oh, my God.
That's quite a good one, isn't it?
I'm going to go Andy Carroll to Newcastle.
That's been rumoured, hasn't it? And I've heard Sunderland too, which I just don't see.
Can you imagine?
I want to see him go to Sunderland. That'd be great.
Quick question for you, Jack. What skin do you use from Matthew Blanchard?
Oh, that's my favourite question.
I should say, Ellis and Danny, thank you for the question. Sorry, I didn't name you before. Oh, sorry, Ellis, I didn't even answer yours. Who should Klopp sign? Everybody. Thanks for the question, George. Sorry, I didn't read your name out.
Austin, Danny Ings. Oh, wait, we've already got him.
What, skin?
Skin. Default skin. Sidebars turned off. So that's a Football Manager reference. I made a 22-second video explaining this. Goodbye.
We got the proper answer. Do you think Zidane will become an instant success at Real Madrid, much like Guardiola was for Barcelona? In a word, Jack?
Rafa was a success. 17 wins in 22, still got sacked. Zidane's going to be given licence to roam because he's a legend at the club.
Literally not the question. Yes or no?
No.
Kino?
No, because you don't get time at Real Madrid to do what Guardiola did.
I agree entirely with what Callum said.
He
Peter,
may well
thank you
turn out to be a fantastic manager, but we will never know while he's at Real Madrid.
I mean, a football manager is always like Middlesbrough's assistant.
Let me ask the questions. Peter, thank you. This quick fire. David, are Aston Villa good enough to win the Championship next season?
Do you want a word?
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, you're not.
They've got Championship playoff tickets.
Derby and Middlesbrough go up. Yes, we are.
Swansea go down.
Okay, I did say Swansea. I'm not going to contradict what I said.
Moving on.
If you change that to promotion, yes.
Okay, we're going to honestly, quick fire. As the season is halfway through, who do you think will be champions, top four, and relegated? Oh, thank you, Mr. Kingy. Very good question. We've already answered it. What world-class players from the last decade won't be remembered in 30 years? That's a great question. It's quite a deep question. Which world-class players from the last decade?
It's a brilliant question.
Won't be remembered? That is the best. Jay, that's the best question we've ever had.
It's definitely up there.
Michael Ballack. I know he's already retired, kind of, but like people struggle to remember him now.
No, I like it. World-class player. Who's a world-class player that we won't remember?
Is Ballack world-class? Like, he ran the German midfield for
someone like Ribéry.
Yeah, I would have said Robben, so that's a good one.
Interesting. I'll go Ribéry. Just because he's not won anything internationally.
Well,
I think when you win something internationally, that's where you sort of set your legacy. Like players like Iniesta and Xavi, for example, never going to be forgotten.
And also, in that same kind of regard, someone like Higuain or Sergio Aguero,
Messi won the Copa America.
Both are world class, but will always be under the shadow internationally of.
I mean, no one remembers the Greek Euro winners.
Angelos Karisteas.
Go away.
This is our thoughts on Alberto Moreno. 6 out of 10 every time.
I mean, he's okay.
He's okay. Where will Charlie Austin be at the end of the window? Crystal Palace. Kino? You could say QPR.
The sill.
He said he's going to stay till the end of the season, so I'm saying QPR.
Jack?
Arsenal. I've now created this rumour. I'm going to get him the move he's dreamed of.
It's already
If everyone can tweet at Arsenal FC on Twitter for me and tell them to sign in.
We should be one of those really annoying accounts that tries to create transfers.
With the ITK accounts.
Yeah, but we should do it for the fans. We should say that Austin is in talks with Arsenal.
So, okay, if people listening, start spreading this.
Tell your friends at work, at
school. Tweet all your football journalists you follow and stuff, and just.
If you've got to this point in the podcast, well done. I mean, my God. Next question from Chad. Will City's inconsistencies keep them from winning the title this season? I don't think it will keep them from winning it.
I think it will.
Okay. Do they need a striker in January then, Kino? Are you saying yes to that?
I think Boney's quite decent, actually, no.
Okay. Jack, do you think their inconsistencies will stop them from winning the league? I guess you think they will.
Yeah, we've kind of already answered this.
Who will finish highest out of West Ham, Stoke, Palace and Watford? Good question, Dan. Thank you.
Good question. West Ham.
Jack?
Because I think they have... If you want me to sort of justify it, I think they've got a depth to their squad that although Stoke do have some good players, I think West Ham are more capable of grinding out games as they've shown.
I will also say West Ham. Jack, you say West Ham?
I'm saying Wham. That's what I'm calling West Ham now.
There's a professional kind of quality.
I've been waiting for my Tesco delivery all through the podcast. Worried it was going to interrupt it. I've just got a text to say, sorry, it's going to be another hour. That's 2 hours late, Tesco.
Can Tottenham actually win the league, or is Hoddle talking out of his arse?
No, they can win the league.
Okay, 0. Thank you for the question. Who or what can save Aston Villa's season? # get Tim back from Ian.
I don't think Timmy's the man to save our season.
I mean, I'll tell you what I'd save for the season. If they were to get rid of all the players now, so they're not going to be hurt too financially by getting relegated and having to pay all their wages next year.
We've got so many questions.
The type of player that would save our season won't come to us now.
I'm just going to check the Liverpool score because we've now gone 4 minutes over the time in the quick-fire round.
It's 0-0. With how Leicester's form has dipped, will they still finish top 6 from Brian?
I think they'll finish top 6. I don't think they'll get top 4.
Agree. Kino, you think they'll finish top 4? You think 4th, right?
Leicester.
Yeah. Who will be the top 2? We've kind of done those ones. Thank you for the question anyway, Ryan. Ethan, biggest surprise package of 2015. Any predictions for a surprise in 2016? I think biggest surprise package is Jamie Vardy.
Oh, for sure.
I was going to just say Leicester in general.
Yeah, Jamie Vardy, Leicester. For this season, biggest surprise package?
What, future?
I think Arsenal winning the league will be quite a big surprise.
Villa to stay up.
Well,
That's
yeah.
the best prediction yet.
I agree.
Oh, shut! You can both stop. Who would be reasonable targets for Chelsea this
Charlie
window?
Austin.
Good.
Charlie Austin's
Where
never
do
been
you-
linked with so many Premier League clubs in half an hour ever.
Where do Liverpool need to strengthen most?
The spine.
Out wide, wings. Jack thinks the spine. So
Oh,
everywhere.
sorry, I
essentially.
don't mean... Yeah, when I say the spine, I just mean like the actual core of the team rather than the
Yeah,
literal
that's what. Yeah,
spine.
we kind of touched on it earlier. James, will Villa be the next team to drop down the leagues, or do they have the stature
my
structure
goodness.
to go back immediately?
Dear me.
See,
I don't
think they'll do a Norwich or Southampton and go into League One. I'm thinking more of Pompey.
Oh my god. We're not in the... I'm not going to rise to the bait on any account.
The final question: who should lead the line for England in the Euros? In a word,
Austin Ings.
I don't want to say it, but
For fuck's
Jamie Vardy.
Wayne Rooney, because he'll have scored 15 goals from now to the end of the
I mean,
season.
you've got to run with that one now. There's no
I have
backing
now.
out.
This was a mistake. I've
It's
done it all,
against, it's
Davey.
against what you believe, Ben, as well. I know,
I know
this.
it is. Jack the Keno, I'd make a prediction and then United fans tweet me, oh, he's great, we told you, etc. So, yeah, I've had to make the
To be
prediction.
fair, none of us have mentioned Harry Kane.
Oh my god.
What do you mean?
Harry Kane.
He's just not
He's
been
a dead
mentioned.
cert for the squad.
I think
I
he'll
think
start.
he'll start, number 9. That just
No,
shows how much we
Wayne
know.
Rooney will score 15
Dele Alli,
goals.
Harry Kane,
from now to
dream
the end of
team,
the season.
perfect chem.
I know.
Right.
I think Kane will actually.
This has been the longest show in our history. If you've enjoyed it, let us know on Twitter, actually. If you have enjoyed the longest show,
At
do let us know on
ForTheFans
Twitter, at ForTheFans Show, youtube.com/ForTheFans Show. If you've enjoyed it, as I say, do let us know. From me, Keno and Jack, it's been a pleasure. Hopefully you've enjoyed listening to our extended version. Have a happy new year. I hope you had a good Christmas.
Yeah.
I had a cheese omelette for Christmas dinner, so it was quite an experience. I just looked over at my girlfriend who was ill and ruined my Christmas. She pulled a face. With love, with care, from me, Dr. Benji. Jack, Keno, final words.
Austin for Arsenal.
Happy New Year, everyone.
We'll see you again soon. We love with care. Goodbye.
I'm going to go get a Domino's. Be right back.
21 to go.